time to face reality, guys. It is time to face reality. 2026 WNBA season is cooked. It's cooked where it's cooked like Thanksgiving food. It's all cooked. It is over. It's done. Finito. There will be no 2026 WNBA season. As it seems, we were hoping for a 60-day extension because we know the October 31st deadline is 3 days away.
Okay, so this isn't merely a wild opinion. The 2026 WNBA season, it is genuinely finished. Completely dead on arrival. What's crazy to me is that everyone focuses on the deadline, ignoring the true narrative unfolding in the background. This goes far beyond failed contract talks. Something much larger is at play. By this video's end, you'll understand precisely why certain people want this season to fail. It sounds unbelievable, I know, but just hear me out. 3 days out from the October 31st deadline, and no extension has been signed. What's wild is that during the last CBA negotiations, they signed the extension precisely 3 days before it was due. So we are at that exact point in time again, and there's nothing. Just radio silence. The players' union, it isn't moving. The league, it's in a panic. But this is the critical part. Did you hear his comment? He hoped to see Caitlin Clark dominate the league this season. He's not the only one. Millions of new fans tuned in last year just for her. Ratings went parabolic. Attendance broke all records. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. Now, however, all that forward motion could vanish completely. And listen to this. There is a faction of people who stand to gain if the season gets canceled. I am being completely serious. Let me explain the real situation, because after you see this pattern, you won't be able to ignore it. So Carly Bell, who follows these talks very closely, just dropped a bombshell on Twitter. She essentially said that, yes, nobody expected the CBA to be finalized by October 31st. That was a given.
No extension has been signed. The last time that there was CBA negotiations and an extension had to be signed, it was signed 3 days before the deadline. We are now 3 days before, no extension agreed on, no negotiation movement. The 2026 season is cooked, and we have articles stating it here. It is over. They're not even getting an extension done. This is ridiculous, and I feel like there's some ulterior motive stuff going on with Unrivaled and a bunch of other nonsense that is stopping the WNBA 2026 season.
But wait, did she actually suggest an extension is off the table entirely due to the recent public sparring? That's a signal for something much uglier, because this is what the public doesn't see. The players' union directly trolled Adam Silver on Instagram just before this all exploded. They openly made fun of the NBA commissioner. What do you think happens when you humiliate the individual who manages your money? Exactly. But this is where the story gets truly insane. She brought up the power of refusing to sign an extension. What kind of power? Who gains from a canceled season? It makes no sense until you start to follow the money. Unrivaled. You have to remember that name. It is a new 3-on-3 basketball league that's suddenly popping up everywhere. Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, a couple of the most prominent names in the sport, are the founders. And just look at the timing. Just as WNBA talks fall apart, Unrivaled is gaining steam. Players are already inking deals with them. They have investors funneling millions their way.
By October 31st. I think we all pretty much could agree on that. However, with the recent public jabs from both the W and the Players Association, an extension could now not happen. It could not. It's not happening, you guys. In my opinion, I think it'd be foolish to not sign an extension, but I understand what the power of not signing one can do. Listen, the ladies in the PA and Unrivaled, Bree Stewart, Nafisa Collier, and all of them, they are feeling like they can hold the W's feet to the fire and force their hand to give them what they want.
All right, let me be sure you're understanding this. The players want to earn money from Project B. That is another rival league. They want to earn money from Unrivaled, and they want to earn money from the WNBA. 3 separate leagues mean 3 separate paychecks. But therein lies the issue. The WNBA's season schedule conflicts with when these other leagues want to play. So what is their solution? It's simple. Sabotage the WNBA season, force the league's hand, make them so desperate that they'll consent to anything, which includes letting players jump between rival leagues at will. This is a classic negotiation tactic. The players feel they hold all the power because they now have other options. They are essentially saying, give us what we want, or we will just play somewhere else. And honestly, they could be correct. But here's the part no one is discussing, the gambling probe. Oh boy, this is where it all gets even messier. So in the midst of everything, the NBA is rocked by a huge gambling scandal, a federal investigation, the entire ordeal, and its effects aren't limited to just the NBA.
No season, no extension is better for Unrivaled, because that's where all the players are going to be. You already know that players have already agreed to contracts with Project B. That's already out there. They've already been in negotiations and signed WNBA players. This is happening. The WNBA players don't feel like they need to sign an extension or they need to have a season unless the W is going to give them.
Did you process that? Adam Silver is meeting with federal agents on October 31st, the very same day as the WNBA's deadline. You believe that's just a coincidence? Please. The NBA is the revenue generator. We are talking billions of dollars. The WNBA, it is still running at a financial loss. So if you're Adam Silver with the feds on your case about gambling issues, and you have women's basketball players asking for more pay, which issue do you address first? The NBA generates around $10 billion annually. The WNBA generates maybe $200 million. It is not even a contest. So yes, Silver's priorities are very clear. And the players, they are aware of this. They see that he's preoccupied. They see the league's vulnerability. So they are applying more pressure than ever before. But here is the truly messed up part of this. There is one person trapped squarely in the middle of this mess who did nothing to cause it.
Every single thing they want. They want to be able to go make money in Project B. They want to be able to make their money in Unrivaled. And they want to be able to make their money in the WNBA. No extension is being signed. We watched the Players Association troll Adam Silver on Instagram, and then we saw the NBA get hit with a crazy gambling thing that's trickling down into the WNBA. Now the WNBA injury reporting being investigated. All of these things are happening. Adam Silver has a
Caitlin Clark. Her name is mentioned constantly, not because anyone is concerned for her, but because she's being used. Allow me to clarify what's going on, as this is a masterclass in manipulation. Nafisa Collier, an Unrivaled co-founder, suddenly won't stop talking about Caitlin Clark. It's in every interview, every podcast, every social media share. Caitlin here, Caitlin there. But where was this supposed affection when Caitlin was being physically pummeled on the court last season? When she was taking cheap shots, and other players were actively targeting her, when the aggression against her was practically assault? Nafisa was silent back then, utterly silent. But now that Unrivaled is desperate for publicity and credibility, now that they must win over the casual fans who started watching solely for Caitlin, all of a sudden she's their best friend. It is so obvious it's almost insulting. And then Nafisa says she spoke with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert about Caitlin. Private talks about keeping her safe, about respecting her influence. Sounds very sincere, doesn't it?
And the WNBA could agree to an extension, which would postpone the deadline. Engelbert has acknowledged that possibility multiple times. Additionally, they could let the agreement expire and enter into a status quo period. It is possible that if the agreement expires and no extension is reached, either side could announce intentions to enter a work stoppage, with the owners possibly locking out the players or the players going on strike.
Caitlin Clark stated herself that she was unaware of this until Nafisa said it publicly. Ponder that for a moment. Someone claims to be your champion in private meetings but never bothers to inform you. They just declare it to the world from a stage. That isn't being an advocate, that's using a name to gain influence. This is manipulative psychology in action. You align yourself with the sport's biggest star, claim to be their protector, You receive all the accolades and good press without ever doing anything that has a personal cost. It's truly brilliant, totally unethical, but brilliant. All the while, Caitlyn just wants to play ball, and she's seeing her second season possibly disappear as people play power games with her future. She had no part in this. She never wanted to be the league's icon. She never wanted to be a pawn in negotiations, yet here we are. Now let's discuss what will happen if this deadline comes and goes without a deal. Option 1, they decide to extend the deadline. This is what everyone wants, correct? It is what they did before. Both parties concur that they're making progress. They simply require more time, so they postpone the deadline by several weeks or months. The problem is solved, and talks resume. Everyone remains calm. But this is the catch with extensions. They're only granted when both parties genuinely desire an agreement, when there is mutual good faith, when both sides feel they are near a resolution. You don't delay a deadline simply for the sake of it. You do it because the finish line is in sight and you need a bit more time to reach it. So is there any proof of that currently? Any signals the two sides are nearing a deal? Any sign they agree on the key points? Not in the slightest. In fact, it's the reverse. Players are publicly stating the league is ignoring them, that their issues go in one ear and out the other, that they aren't being respected. Meanwhile, the league claims the players' union is misleading the public about talks, that they are attempting to sway public opinion, that they're involving outsiders to pressure them. This doesn't resemble being close to a deal. This resembles a total collapse. So option 1, the extension. It's likely not happening. Option 2 is known as a status quo period. Essentially, the existing contract ends, but rather than starting a war, both sides remain in a state of limbo. The old rules are no longer in effect, but no one has officially started a strike or a lockout. It is an odd gray area where everyone is planning their next step, but this is where things get serious. If this status quo period continues too long, or if one side gets tired of waiting, we reach the nuclear option. A work stoppage. The owners can lock out the players, physically stopping them from playing, or the players can go on strike, refusing to play until they get what they want. And look at this. The league is already using political figures to pressure the players. The video noted a man who could be New York's next governor is getting involved. When you see politicians at labor talks, you know it's gotten serious. The league is trying to paint the players as unreasonable to turn the public against them. But the players, they are not yielding, and I believe I've deduced why they are so confident. The money. Follow the money, and it all falls into place. Napheesa Collier secured millions for Unrivaled. Investors have dumped cash into it. She has commitments, deals, and duties. So, pretend you are Napheesa. You just talked wealthy individuals into investing $20 million in your new league. You promised them profits. You sold the vision. Then what? Are you going to tell those investors, sorry, I'm actually returning to the WNBA full time? Unrivaled is just a hobby now? Are you serious? They would sue you into bankruptcy. You'd never get funding again. Your reputation would be ruined. So Napheesa must make Unrivaled the main focus. It must be the main attraction, not a side act. And the easiest way to do that, ensure there is no WNBA season to compete for talent and viewership. Just hear how he explains it. Low down, dirty tactics. And to be honest, I don't believe he's mistaking. This is business. And business becomes ugly when millions are at stake. But this is what is so infuriating about this whole situation. The WNBA was finally getting its big break after decades of fighting for relevance. After years of financial losses, after endless articles questioning if women's basketball could ever be profitable, it was finally succeeding. The 2024 season was phenomenal. Ratings were soaring. Attendance was climbing. Sponsorships were pouring in. Mainstream media attention. Packed arenas. Everything the league had strived for over 25 years was at last materializing. And it was all happening thanks to one individual, Caitlin Clark. Whether you like her or not, her effect is undeniable. She attracted millions of new viewers to the sport. People who had never seen a WNBA game were now arranging their nights around Indiana Fever games. Young girls were buying her jerseys. Casual fans learned the names of other players because they came for Caitlin and stayed for the gameplay. The momentum was tangible. The growth was real. The future seemed so bright. And now we may see it all crumble because of a dispute over how to divide the money that wouldn't exist without the very person being used as a pawn. Do you want to know the most tragic part? Caitlin Clark has been a complete professional throughout this. She has not complained in public. She has not picked sides. She has not asked for special privileges. She simply desires to play basketball, and the league meant to champion her. It's too busy squabbling over money and power to even guarantee her a season to play. But let's step back, because a larger issue here impacts anyone who follows women's sports. This specific moment, this is the ultimate test. This is when we'll learn if women's basketball can maintain its success, or if it was a fleeting phenomenon centered on one generational star. Because if the 2026 season is canceled, all of those new fans, they will disappear. Casual audiences don't stick around for labor conflicts. They find something new. They start watching something else, and winning them back, it's almost impossible. The WNBA has spent a quarter century trying to cultivate an audience. They finally succeeded, and now they might discard it all, because some are more interested in side gigs and rival leagues than in preserving the main product. It is truly mind-boggling when you consider it, and this is what truly irks me. The players believe they have power due to unrivaled Project B and overseas options. But that power only exists because of the stage the WNBA provided them initially. No one is investing millions into Unrivaled if women's basketball is still an obscure sport no one watches. The sole reason these other leagues are feasible is that the WNBA spent decades losing money to raise the sport's profile. So now players want to leverage the platform the WNBA built to launch rival products that could destroy the WNBA. That isn't just a business move. That's biting the hand that fed you. And perhaps the WNBA underpaid its players for years. Perhaps they should maximize their income wherever possible, but we should at least acknowledge what is really going on. He still believes Kathy Engelbert should be terminated. And you know something? Many people share that sentiment. Engelbert has made some debatable decisions.